Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to the channel where we meticulously dissect the most pressing and often the most heartbreaking developments within the British royal family. Today we turn our gaze toward a unit that has long struggled under the weight of unrelenting public scrutiny, the House of York, and the profound, devastating consequences that the latest wave of scandals has wrought upon its younger generation, specifically the beloved Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice. We are delving into a narrative of retreat, renunciation, and deep-seated emotional turmoil centered around the fallout from the actions of Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, and his former wife Sarah Ferguson, commonly known as Fergie. The core of the story is the painful revelation that the once strong, if eccentric, family unit is now profoundly fractured, leading to a calculated yet emotionally costly withdrawal by Princess Eugenie from a critical family meeting designed to address the catastrophic damage. Before we immerse ourselves in the somber details of the Royal Lodge Summit and the immense pressure placed upon the two sisters, please take a moment to show your support. Do remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for continuous royal insights, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update on the evolving dynamics of the monarchy. The backdrop to this entire saga is, of course, the unrelenting scrutiny faced by the Duke of York. The institution itself was forced to take drastic action after the former couple's relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein came back into sharp, damaging focus. The revelation that the pair had engaged in communications with Epstein, with their lies and questionable dealings being exposed through email correspondence, served as the ultimate catalyst for an unavoidable institutional reckoning. This level of public embarrassment and ethical compromise necessitated a response from the very highest echelons of the monarchy. King Charles Roman III, alongside the extended and increasingly cautious royal family, was compelled to convene private, high-stakes discussions to determine the untenable future of Andrew and Fergie within the royal firmament. These were not casual conversations. These were fundamental negotiations over reputation, duty, and the very integrity of the crown. Following these critical and no doubt highly uncomfortable talks, a decisive statement was finally issued by the 65-year-old royal himself. The content of that statement marked a significant turning point. Prince Andrew formally announced that he would cease using his inherited and highly prestigious title, the Duke of York, along with several other associated military and royal honors. This renunciation was framed as a necessary sacrifice, a strategic move intended to shield the genuinely commendable and charitable work undertaken by the rest of the royal family from being contaminated by the persistent corrosive negative light emanating from his own ongoing controversies. Since this pivotal title drop, the former couple has retreated almost entirely from the public eye, seeking refuge and seclusion behind the massive historical walls of Royal Lodge. This sprawling estate, a sanctuary that has recently felt more like a fortress under siege, became the epicenter of the family's attempts to manage the crisis in private. However, the drama did not end with the official statement. In the immediate aftermath of the title renunciation, highly credible reports surfaced confirming that an urgent secret summit had been convened within the confines of Royal Lodge. This meeting was clearly intended to be a solemn gathering of the immediate family, a chance to discuss strategy, finances, and the emotional toll of their isolation. Princess Beatrice, ever the dutiful and visible member of the York family, was confirmed to be in attendance, shouldering the weight of the moment. Yet, amidst the high-profile attendees, one key figure was notably absent: Princess Eugenie. Her non-appearance at such a critical family defining moment spoke volumes, suggesting a fracture that runs deeper than mere strategic disagreement. The atmosphere at Royal Lodge during this purported summit, it was anything but reassuring, according to those close to the situation. An insider providing rare insight into the private distress of the family to the Daily Mail painted a bleak picture of the proceedings. The source confirmed with palpable sadness that the Royal Lodge summit wasn't a happy occasion, and the family, once a strong unit, is fractured. This statement confirms the worst fears of royal watchers. The unit, which had previously prided itself on presenting a united front despite the parents' notorious post-divorce friendship and shared residence, had finally buckled under the unbearable pressure of scandal. The institution of the York family, once defined by its closeness, was now openly splintering. The emotional burden borne by the daughters Beatrix and Eugenie is immense. They are caught in a painful dichotomy, fiercely loyal to their parents, yet fully aware of the public disdain and the institutional damage being inflicted. The insider offered a particularly heartbreaking detail concerning Princess Beatrix, highlighting the acute level of her distress. The source recounted that during this period of intense media scrutiny, Beatrix was on the phone saying she couldn't bring herself to look at the Sunday papers. She looked absolutely devastated. This image of a royal princess unable to face the daily headlines detailing her family's humiliation underscores the crippling psychological cost of living under the royal spotlight when scandal erupts. Her devastation is not merely an inconvenience. It is a profound reaction to the public shaming of those she loves most. It is against this backdrop of sorrow and profound public embarrassment that Princess Eugenie's decision to step back from the family reunion must be viewed. Her absence was not arbitrary. It was a necessary act of self-preservation. Sources indicate that Princess Eugenie chose to distance herself precisely because of the overwhelming emotional turmoil that both she and her sister have been facing as a direct consequence of their parents' actions. The York sisters, who have always been remarkably close and supportive of one another, are now grappling with the reality that their identities and professional lives are inextricably linked to the increasingly toxic reputation of their mother and father. Eugene's decision to skip the Royal Lodge meeting appears to be a deliberate attempt to create necessary distance, a momentary separation from the eye of the storm, allowing her to protect her own young family and her own standing. The weight of supporting their parents while simultaneously maintaining their own dignity and professional integrity has clearly become insupportable. This critical situation has led respected voices within the royal commentary sphere to suggest radical measures for the sisters' long-term survival and happiness. Earlier, the esteemed royal expert Ingrid Seard offered a piece of advice that, while dramatic, speaks directly to the need for the sisters to forge an independent path untainted by the York lineage's recent history. Seward suggested that Princess Beatrix and Princess Eugenie should seriously consider dropping their cherished inherited princess titles altogether. This advice is rooted in a pragmatic understanding of the modern monarchy and the demands of public perception. Seward elaborated on the profound benefits such a controversial move would yield. She posited that shedding the princess title would give them freedom from their parents. This is an incredibly powerful concept, that the very titles that define their aristocratic status are also the chains that bind them to the ongoing scandals. By relinquishing the titles, they would symbolically sever the institutional ties that link their good names to the notorious actions of their parents. Furthermore, Seward argued that dropping the titles would stop them being tread with the same brush. In the court of public opinion, titles often carry an inherent guilt by association. While Beatrice and Eugenie have conducted themselves with exemplary dignity and dedication, the public often struggles to separate the actions of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson from the inherited status of their daughters. Removing the titles would be a clear, unambiguous statement of professional and personal independence. The expert concluded her analysis by stating that this action would serve as a clear sign that they want to make their own way in the world. In an era where younger royals are increasingly seeking to define roles for themselves outside the traditional taxpayer-funded structure, this move would be seen as both modern and profoundly courageous. Ingrid Seard firmly believes that the public reaction would be overwhelmingly positive, offering a path to genuine respect and ultimately personal peace for the sisters. She stated with conviction, "I think people would hugely respect them for it, and I think ultimately they would be happier." This happiness, Seward implies, would stem not from the loss of status, but from the gain of autonomy and the shedding of the heavy toxic baggage associated with the Duke of York's recent history. To fully grasp the magnitude of this suggestion, one must consider what the princess title represents. It is a birthright, a lifetime of prestige, and a guaranteed platform. To willingly surrender, it is an act of incredible personal sacrifice. Yet, the price of keeping those titles in the current climate appears to be an endless association with the scandal, the constant need for damage control, and the emotional devastation witnessed during the Royal Lodge summit. The decision facing Beatrice, who attended the painful summit, and Eugenie, who chose the path of strategic avoidance, is monumental. Do they cling to the tradition and status that defines their birth, or do they embrace a radical freedom that promises respect and emotional relief, even if it means stepping outside the velvet ropes of royal privilege? The fracture within the House of York is not merely a social inconvenience. It is a significant institutional crisis that forces the younger generation to make choices that their predecessors never had to contemplate. Princess Eugenie's absence from Royal Lodge was a silent, powerful protest, a visible sign that the emotional cost of maintaining the family facade has simply become too high. Her need for distance underscores the fact that the crisis is ongoing, and the healing process for the family has barely begun. The renunciation of the Duke of York title by Prince Andrew marked the end of one chapter of public disgrace, but the subsequent retreat to Royal Lodge and the painful family summit indicate the beginning of a long, arduous journey toward personal recovery and professional redefinition for the York sisters. We are watching in real time as two young women, devoted mothers, and career professionals navigate the treacherous intersection of duty, loyalty, and public reputation. Whether they choose to heed Ingrid Seward's radical advice and shed their titles remains to be seen, but the necessity of defining themselves independently of their parents' controversies has never been more urgent. This entire sequence of events, from the exposure of the emails to the involvement of King Charles, the dropping of the Duke of York title, the retreat to Royal Lodge, and finally the heartbreaking division during the family summit, it paints a vivid picture of a royal family under immense strain. Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice, who deserve to be celebrated for their own accomplishments, are instead defined by the shadows cast by their parents. The path forward is unclear, but Eugene's initial act of stepping back suggests a growing realization that self-preservation must take precedence over familial obligation, especially when that obligation threatens to consume their own identities. The emotional toll evidenced by Beatrix's profound devastation and Eugene's calculated retreat serves as a stark reminder that even those born to privilege are not immune to the devastating effects of scandal. In conclusion, the Royal Lodge summit, defined more by who was missing than who attended, solidified the reality that the York family unit is fundamentally broken. The sisters Beatrice and Eugenie stand at a critical crossroads, facing a choice between inherited status and personal freedom. Their decision, whenever it comes, will undoubtedly be one of the most significant and heartbreaking personal choices made by any royal in recent history. We appreciate you joining us for this deep dive into the emotional landscape of the House of York. What are your thoughts on this immensely difficult situation? Do you agree with Ingrid Seard that the princesses should drop their titles to gain freedom and respect? Or do you believe they should hold on to their birthright regardless of the cost? Please share your respectful opinions and insights in the comments section below. We always value your perspective on these complex matters. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us next time as we continue to track the evolving story of the British monarchy. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next analysis.